I think starting with the way that she enters the film, it's just so crisp and clean. She's not said anything yet, but people around her are already panicking.
Yeah.
And it's like it switches from 1 minute of all of her team around her flinging rails, getting everything ready for the day, being ready to serve the owner of Runway, and then the scenes to her just being simple. She talks very calmly.
Yeah.
You just immediately know the character, her leadership style, and what's gonna, where this is gonna go, already from the very beginning. And as I said, the way that Meryl Streep delivers that is just perfect. I can't really imagine many of the people doing that role.
I think when we were doing the recasting, there's a lot of people I could imagine doing the role, but no one doing it to the caliber.
I think if you have to do a recasting, you'd have to forget that there was a first version.
Yeah, like you read this,
because you can't really. Yeah, I don't think it could be. You just watch it comparing it to Meryl Streep at that point.
Yeah,
so,
you'd have to do something slightly. So like you mentioned something about the quietness. The story there that she said in interviews is that she was harnessing Clint Eastwood. That she'd noticed him both as an actor and a director. That he never screamed, he never got, but he was respected. Like he ran his sets like an iron fist, and he would just always speak quietly. And so she says she credits him as her inspiration for that.
It is a good quality
leadership
style,
and
you want to if you would want your manager so on in that workplace situation to be calm, and this is what we're going to do. You're steering the ship at the end of the day. You can't be frantic, but the way that she goes about it and the things that she asks her team to do, and there's definitely some elements where she treats her assistants in quite a degrading manner.
Yeah,
and that's not okay, but it's done for humorous effect in a way. Like there's like that compilation of her throwing her coat and bag on the desk, which is obviously, if that would happen to me at work, I probably would leave. I wouldn't be able to do that, but it's done to kind of show that hierarchy, the comedic effect, the time passing by, and it's quite clever how they do it.
Yeah, again, I've gone too far in the sympathy department with her, but I feel like stuff like that, I could spend 10 minutes, we won't, talking just about the codes, because
you could
I could, but because on the one hand, it's always, to me, it's about whether she's doing stuff consciously or subconsciously, because is she just subconsciously treating him like shit because she sees him like shit? Or is it a power move? Like, you are the junior assistant, hence I will always toss my coat. Because it's a pivotal moment when she basically tells her that she's coming to Paris and she chucks the jacket onto Emily's desk.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's a power move.
Yeah,
I think it's so. Always, everything is a power
I think
move.
everything's calculated. I don't think she does anything by accident. Every look, every coat throw.
It's a test.
Yes. So that's...
but it's a way of her being... She's a good perfectionist.
Yes.
She likes control. She is not letting anyone going to come for her in effect, to say she needs to protect her world, and that's just how she chooses to do it. You may not agree with it, and there's probably a lot of people that wouldn't agree with it or act like that in the real world, but obviously it's dramatized. It's entertaining nonetheless, and it's unforgettable.
Yeah, and we've talked about the way she's doing it. The acting is, I've written down, she does so much with so little. Every line is just perfect. Every expression is measured. Every movement is on purpose. And apparently Meryl Streep went method for this, where not like she stayed in character all the time as a bitch, but the big thing is that she didn't hang out with the cast. She didn't become friendly with people because she just thought it would be better to keep that distance. You mentioned this is actually a real interesting thing Meryl Streep said in the oral history, is that she gives a lot of credit to the rest of the cast because Miranda only works through the gaze of others. Like the gaze, not G-A-Z.
The G-A-Z.
Yeah, the G-A-Zs of others. Because if she acted the way she did, but people didn't act all frantic around her, it would look a bit weird. It's like it's a team thing that everyone has to act like she's God, and then she needs to act like a god.
It's just the way they make her look so unapproachable.
Yes.
Which is kind of how you imagine Anna Wintour to be.
And this is where, obviously, credit to the actors, credit to Meryl Streep, but this is where the director, because everyone knows the word director, but a lot of people maybe don't really understand what a director is actually doing. But a director is saying, guys, you need to imagine that, Jesus Christ with lasers is about to come out of this elevator, and you need to change your shoes, otherwise you're going to get fired. They spend time, they're telling people, this is how you need to be thinking right now. And obviously the director nailed it about getting everyone to behave just right around her, to get the best out of her and make her performance make sense. because even though it's funny and comic, at no point do you go, well, this is like ridiculous. This would never happen. It would absolutely.
Yeah,
like,
you know that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not. It's on the right side of ridiculous.
And honestly, this is well, this wasn't true back then, and I don't want to make this about politics. If you like, it's the Trump thing. When you see the way, and in public, the people behave. He's got these meetings where he gets all of his secretaries together. Yeah, he gets the, Secretary of State, Secretary of Interior, Secretary of Education. He gets them around a table and he gets them to all one at a time just talk about how amazing he is. And they just say, "Oh, Mr. President, you're the greatest president, blah, 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 blah." Like, you'd watch that in a movie and say, this would never happen in real life. But the fact is, he has built an environment where these people know that to stay into their job, you have to behave in a certain way and kiss my ass. And in a different way. That's obviously what's happened here with Miranda Priestly. Everyone knows that you need to have high heels when she's coming in. The magazine's going to be a particular way. You don't look at her in the eye. You don't ask questions.
There's other documentaries. There's the one about American Apparel. Have you ever watched that one? Yeah, it's a part of that car crash series, I think it's called. On Netflix, where the CEO of the company was absolutely horrible person, had all these really unrealistic, stupid demands. Yeah, there's no comparison to Miranda in that respect, but we are exposed to stories where you hear about really wild kind of CEO problems, and I think this film does it in a comedic way that doesn't make you feel like gross about it. Because she's quite degrading and she really pushes them to the test, but at the same time she has got that nurturing quality, and she gives Andrea what she wants at the end of the day.
Yes, so that's very important.
It has given the opportunity, so you may not like the style, and yes, it's not how we would normally how normal people behave, and it's not a normal workplace environment, but it is but it's worked for her.
And exactly, I was gonna say that was exactly my point. If forget being a fashion magazine, like if Runway wasn't seen as Vogue, which is considered the go-to fashion magazine, if it wasn't for the fact that she was in one of the most glamorous, most successful, most cutthroat industries in the world, I think it would be unforgivable. But it's the fact that what she does is so hard, so difficult, and she's so successful at it, that I think that's why we give her so much leeway on the bad behavior. Again, that's the thing in the book. At no point does it say, yeah, she's horrible, but she brings in $500 million in, I'm making these numbers up, in ads from this. She's like runs this like thing that no one else could do, and this is where I think it's very important in the movie to have these couple of scenes that show her doing her thing. And it's like, no, she's an absolute boss, and yes, she doesn't have to behave in this toxic way to be that way, but that's her approach. And basically, accept it or quit, which is eventually what happens. But I do like it, and I think I'd almost forgotten it maybe a few years ago when I rewatched it, the fact that the ending is very sweet. And maybe this is a very Hollywood, obviously it's very different in the book, it's the complete opposite. Maybe it's a very Hollywood ending, but it's a movie, and you get to give it a Hollywood ending. And I think when you say that it's a good feel-good movie that you can watch lighthearted, I think the ending is key, because if the ending wasn't the way it was, like if they just went their separate ways and she just got the job based on the CV, it's kind of a bit of a... I feel like if that was going to be the ending, the movie should just end in Paris with her throwing the phone. Yeah. But by having that epilogue, you get to say, oh, actually, she respected... Because ultimately she said to her, you have a choice to make. You can stay here and become like me, or you can fuck off. And she decided to fuck off. And she's basically saying, good for you. You made a decision. I reward that. You were good at your job, because she was.
Yeah, it turns out nice for her.
Exactly. She's not vindictive, which I think is nice.
Yeah, she didn't, she respected Andy's choice in the end, without really saying much.
Yes,
But yeah, it's a nice ending. That is what makes it the film that's feel good at the end. You get a happy ending, but it's not too much of a happy ending in the way that and you see the elevated Andy afterwards that's kind of like ready for the next step, and it's nice to see.
Ultimately, Andy got everything. She didn't get it in the way she wanted it, but ultimately she grew as a person. She became hyper competent. She got the job, she got the reference. So
Miranda did everything she
exactly.
Andy wanted effectively.
Here's a question. Why, so when she walks in on the argument, that's obviously by accident.
Yes, in the townhouse.
Yes, but later on in Paris, there's no part of her that's embarrassed. Well, she walks in on her crying because of the divorce, basically. But she lets her in. She might even have called her. It's not clear that she called her, but the point is, there's no effort by Miranda to stop her coming in, to hide, and there's no implication that she's surprised to see her. Why? And I don't have an answer. I'm curious. Why do you think she lets her see that vulnerable side of her?
I think because at this point, I think Miranda trusts Andy because she's invited to Paris. Think about how many months of time has passed on that actually Andy probably knows so much about Miranda at this point because she's probably booking her kids' dentist appointments and all these sorts of things.
Doing the homework.
Yes, doing the homework. So she's very much part of the family, I think.
And maybe I think one of my thoughts is that maybe because she saw the earlier incident, Miranda's rationale, because she's obviously a hyper rational person, is well, she knows that things aren't great, so I might as well let her all the way in if I'm going to let her in.
But what I do enjoy about that scene is that it's even though Miranda is upset, she's just about to go to divorce. She's got no makeup on, she's crying, and she still says, "By all means, move at a glacial pace." She's still got it there. It'll never go away, no matter what state she's in, and that just makes it funny. It's just good opposition.
And also there is the interesting thing where Andy says, "Oh, I can cancel your stuff," and she's like, "No," because Andy correctly said, "This is what a normal person would do. This is what I would do." But Miranda's like, "No, that's not how I function." So again, it's a preview of like, well, if you're going to become like me, this is going to be your life. One fun detail is that Meryl Streep made the decision on the white hair. She's like, "I think this is how we should do it." The producers did not like the idea, but she was Meryl Streep, so I don't know if she actually had her real hair done that way or if it was a wig. It probably was her real hair that they would just do it for the whole shoot, right?
I don't know.
But she basically,
so hard to tell these days.
She turned up, again, I don't know if it was a wig, so she just turned up at a meeting with the hair that way, basically said, "This is how I'm doing it," and they were like, "Okay, well, Meryl Streep says so, and plus she looks great."
Well, they really wanted her to do it. So.
Yes, on one of the other podcasts I listened to, that usually they'll be like, "Oh, so here are all the other people that were considered for this role." No one, it was just her. And this movie doesn't work. I'm not saying the movie couldn't have been decent with someone really good in that role, but she elevates this movie from a good movie to a fantastic, great movie. I genuinely think this is one of the all-time best performances. At some point, I'll do a video on that. But so I tried to find lists of what are considered the best performances of all time. A lot of the lists are the 21st century, so just to keep it simple, we'll stick to the 21st century. I found two separate lists, completely unrelated, that both had her at number 22 for the all-time greatest performances. I went through all the things that were ahead of her. I disagree with a lot of them. They're all great. They got people like Leo as Jordan Belfort, Denzel in Training Day, Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. But I think those are all fantastic performances. But I think Miranda Priestly has a lot more depth than a lot of those characters. Okay. So I went through the list. I'm actually saying that I think Miranda Priestly, Meryl Streep, is the third best, just to take everything away, the third best performance by an actor of the 21st century. The only two I have above, and it is a coincidence that both of them are on posters behind us, is Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Basterds, so the Nazi guy, and Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, he is good in Inglourious Basterds, actually. That is...
So those are the only two that I could look at it and be, no, these, to me, those are definitely better. I mean, this is obviously subjective. Those two are two of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. But this movie is nowhere near the top of my list, of the top 100. But I do think if we're looking purely just at the performance in a vacuum, I think it's the third best performance.
Would you say then it's Meryl Streep's best performance?
I think so. I've only seen Sophie's Choice once, and I think that's the only one that's really in contention from what I found online. What do you think?
I think it might be. I think I discovered Meryl Streep in Death Becomes Her.
I haven't seen that.
So it's an older film, so it is a film that has aged, I think, but it's a great film. So I do think so. But
it's the most fun. It's the most fun one.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Kramer versus Kramer or Sophie's Choice are not fun movies. Yeah,
that's exactly. So I like a film that's fun, and I want a film to make me feel good at the end of it. Yeah. So I think maybe.
Guys, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube, as well as follow us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts for long-form episodes on the last Thursday of every month, as well as weekly content here on YouTube. And you can also follow us on TikTok for daily content.